Today is the 19th of January 2025. An open call to action. Ethiopia at the brink of catastrophe. The time has come to decisive intervention to halt the unrelenting descent into chaos in Ethiopia. The atrocities committed in the name of governance and the disguise of nationalism and through the exploitation of ethnic divides have reached an intolerable level. The Ethiopian military, under the order of corrupt and self-serving politicians, is systematically perpetuating crimes against humanity, targeting its own citizens in a relentless cycle of violence. This institution must cease taking these orders immediately and allow for the restoration of order through innovative and unifying approaches. My name is Abebe Negash, and I am reading this to you from United States. I'm a part of diaspora. I have never been involved in any politics, and my profession is engineering. But I can't sit idle and listen and watch what's happening in Ethiopia. The crimes against humanity being committed across Ethiopia are staggering and multifaceted. Number one, ethnic cleansing and genocide. Entire communities are being erased based on their ethnic identities. The targeting of Amhara, Tigrayans, and other groups has reached catastrophic proportion, leaving millions displaced, orphaned, or slaughtered. Number two, systematic displacement. In the name of development, corridors, and urban expansion, Addis Ababa and other regions are witnessing the calculated displacement of Amhara and non-Oromo peoples, leaving them destitute and voiceless. Number three, widespread rape and genocide-based violence. Women and girls are being weaponized in the conflict, with countless victims subjected to sexual violence as a tool for oppression and terror. Number four, starvation and blockades. Man-made famine are being orchestrated through deliberate blockades, cutting off food, medicine, and aid to vulnerable regions. Number five, political executions and torture. Journalists, activists, and dissents are silenced through imprisonment, torture, or extrajudicial killings, stifling any voices of opposition. Number six, cultural erasure. Historical sites, religious institutions, and cultural heritage are being desecrated or destroyed in an effort to obliterate Ethiopia's shared identity and history. These atrocities are further compounded by the local failure, but total failure of the international community to respond adequately. Humanitarian is insufficient and diplomatic engagements are plagued by apathy, ignorance, and geopolitical interests that prioritize exploitation over justice. Here, people, hear me. A modular solution for national stabilization is being developed. The current political framework has proven itself incapable of delivering peace, justice, or unity. False narratives, lies, personal gain, and unsubstantiated accusation have dominated the mindset of politicians, perpetuating division and chaos. It is evident that a political-led government model has failed Ethiopia. Democracy is not working. We propose a shift to a modular system of governance, an innovative and transparent model rooted in ethical principles and engineered to stabilize Ethiopia's fractured state. This system leverages structured, impartial mechanisms to prioritize accountability, inclusivity, and merit-based leadership over destructive political agendas. The Ethiopian military must take immediate responsibility for its role in the crisis, continuing to follow the order of corrupt politicians who exploit national institutions for personal gain. Only depends the offering of the Ethiopian people. The military must stand down, cease all operations against civilians, and allow neutral actors to assess and address the nation's need. Now, the way forward we demand: number one, an immediate cessation of all hostilities and military operations targeting civilians, wherever it may be in Ethiopia. Number two, independent investigations into war crimes and crime against humanity. Number three, a moratorium on land grabs, forced displacements, and exploitation of natural resources. Number four, the establishment of a transparent authority led by neutral experts and professionals, including engineers and technocrats, to implement the modular system of governance. 5. Unrestricted access for humanitarian aid to all regions. The international community must recognize that the expectation of meaningful support is futile. Ethiopia's starvation lies in the hands of its people, who must unite under a shared vision of justice and accountability. The modular governance model represents a viable path forward, one that demands immediate action to repair a system that is not just failing but actively destroying the nation. It is a gangrene. To the media, politicians, and citizens, this letter is a plea and a warning. Ethiopia is on the principle of collapse. Continued inaction will lead to an irreversible humanitarian disaster. 120 plus million people. The time to act is now. We call on all Ethiopians in the diaspora and at home to rally behind this cause, to push for the cessation of political manipulation, and to work together towards a sustainable and just future. The atrocities must stop. The military must stand down. The system must change. Let this be the turning point for Ethiopia's future. Democracy in Ethiopia has struggled to take root due to entrenched division, self-serving political agendas and culture, and of misinformation, unsubstantiated accusations, and conspiracy. Politicians often prioritize personal gains over natural interests, creating a cycle of instability and mistrust. In contrast, straight thinkers like engineers who focus on problem solving efficiently and clarity can provide innovative approaches to stabilize the system. A modular governance model, my friends, my people, inspired by engineering principles, offer a practical framework for creating a balanced, adaptable, and transparent system that prioritizes unity and progress over division and chaos. To halt this descent into collective annihilation, Ethiopia needs justice and accountability, ethnic reconciliation, economic revitalization, demilitarization, cultural revival, and so on. Only by confronting the root of these atrocities and committing to systemic change can Ethiopia emerge from its current cycle of despair and reclaim its promise as a unified and peaceful nation. To those who think migration is an option, let me tell you the grim reality of migration. This is a message to all Ethiopians, brothers and sisters of Ethiopia. The path to freedom, safety, and dignity is no longer through a fight to foreign lands. Across the world, borders are tightening, nations are closing their doors, and the promise of refugee is becoming a distant dream. For those who attempt to journey, the road is paved with unimaginable horrors, suffering, and death. The journey of despair. 1. A world that has turned its back. Nations in Europe, the America, and the Middle East have implemented harsh policies to curb the influx of refugees. Camps are overcrowded. Asylum applicants are rejected in mass. And deportations are on the rise. In the eyes of these nations, refugees are seen not as victims seeking safety but as a burden to their systems. Number 2, the land of death, the Sahara Desert, a necessary cross for many, has become a mass grave. Temperatures reach unbearable levels, water is scarce, and many die of dehydration or exhaustion. Those who survive the desert face smugglers, traffickers, and militia who rob, abuse, and even kill migrants. Number 3, the sea of no return. The Mediterranean Sea, once seen as a bridge to hope, is now a graveyard. Overloaded boats capsize, and thousands drown every year. The sea swallows entire families, leaving behind no trace of their dreams or struggles. Many nations have stopped rescue operations, leaving boats drift for days until they sink. Now, let's talk about the land grabbers, the Saudi Arabians. Let me tell you the nightmare there. For those heading east to the Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, the situation is even more horrifying. Number 1, the Saudi border. Reports from human rights organizations reveal that Saudi border patrols have been using Ethiopian, Eritrean, and Djibouti migrants, including the Somalis, as a target practice. Entire groups are gunned down as they attempt to cross the border, their bodies left to rot in the desert, as a grim warning to others. Survivors tell harrowing stories of limbs blown off, children killed, and loved ones left behind to die. The desert of death. The journey through an Arabian peninsula is marked by dehydration, hunger, and abuse. Smugglers extort migrants, demanding more money at every turn. Those who cannot pay are abandoned or killed. Number 3, slavery and exploitation. Those who make it to Saudi Arabia often find themselves trapped in modern-day slavery. They face abusive employers, unsafe working conditions, and the constant threat of deportation or imprisonment. The other is the Red Sea and Mediterranean water of grief, a water graveyard. Thousands of Ethiopians drown every year attempting to cross the Red Sea or the Mediterranean. Overloaded boats capsized and abandoned by smugglers have families to perish in the waves. The sea is filled with dreams of the desperate, but it has become a graveyard instead of a gateway to better life. Here is the global difference. Even as bodies wash ashore, the world turns a blind eye. Governments issue statements of concern but offer no meaningful assistance. This is now a call to stay and fight for Ethiopia. Ethiopians, this is the reality of the migration dream, a nightmare of death, exploitation, and hopelessness. The nations you hope will save you are not your salvation. The journey you embark on is not a path to life, but a road to death. The time has come to look towards and fight for the future of Ethiopia. We must end the conditions that force our people to flee. We must reclaim our dignity, rebuild our economy, and create a nation where no one feels compelled to leave their home. If we do not act now, the future will hold nothing but despair. The desert will claim more lives, the seas will take more children, and our nation will be emptied of its people, leaving it vulnerable to foreign exploitation and collapse. But we are Ethiopians. We are a people of resilience, strength, and unity. Together, we can create a nation where our children thrive, where our people are valued, and where no one is forced to risk their life for survival. The time to act is now. Stay, fight, and build the Ethiopia we all dream of. Our future depends on us. Brothers and sisters of Ethiopia, the world we live in today is increasingly unkind to migrants and refugees. Even the nations once considered havens of freedom and opportunity, such as the United States. The winds of change are turned against immigrants. Policies of forced deportation are taking shape, and the rise of advanced technologies like AI surveillance means that no movement goes unnoticed. For those who dream of safety and prosperity abroad, the truth is stark. Being a migrant is no longer a viable option. There is a global crackdown on migration. Number one, the United States under Trump-like policies, plans for mass deportation are already in motion, targeting undocumented immigrants with precision and efficiency. Advanced AI systems are deployed to monitor movements, track records, and enforce immigration laws with unprecedented accuracy. Once a beacon of hope, the United States now sends a clear message. Immigrants are unwelcome, and the risk of living undocumented are insurmountable. Europe's fortress mentality. That's a number two. Europe. Nations are fortifying their borders and passing laws to prevent refugee influx. Camps are overcrowded, asylum rejections are at record high, and migrants are increasingly viewed as a burden rather than a blessing. Number three is the Gulf states and beyond. Dear friends, the Gulf nations, once seen as opportunity for employment by our women and girls to be housemaid there, have become zones of exploitation and abuse. Children of Arabs are practicing sexual acts in our children. Migrants face harsh conditions, low wages, and systems that strip them of dignity and rights. And yet, current government is selling land in a mass quantity for advanced agricultural and mineral exploitation. Look at Tigray. Their gold, our gold, is being mined illegally and the chemical they use, like cyanide, is leaving its mark behind so that nobody can live on that land again. So I tell you one more time why migration is not an option today. Number one is the global surveillance with AI. AI-powered systems are transforming immigration enforcement from facial recognition at borders to tracking financial transactions and online activities. Immigrants are under constant watch. The hope of blending in is disappearing. Every step is monitored. Every action is scrutinized. No place to hide. Friends, nations are collaborating to share data, making it nearly impossible for migrants to evade detection. Even humanitarian corridors are shrinking, leaving those fleeing persecution with nowhere to run. A life of uncertainty. Refugees face detention, deportation, or even stateless. For many, the dream of safety turns into a nightmare of suffering. Ethiopians, the time to act is now. The world is telling us that we must find solutions at home, in our own land. The Ethiopian Hearts for Peace initiative offers a vision of unity, hope, and peace. It is a call to rise above the divisions that have torn us apart and to reclaim the future that is rightfully ours. Number one, reclaim sovereignty. By standing together, we can resist foreign exploitation and ensure that Ethiopia remains a land for Ethiopians. Number two, land grabs, proxy wars, and external manipulation must meet with a united front. The other is, number two, build a nation of peace. Ethiopian Hearts for Peace provide a roadmap for reconciliation, justice, and prosperity. Through dialogue, innovative governance, and a focus on shared values, we can create a society where every Ethiopian feels valued and secure. Number three, stay and fight for Ethiopia. I say this again and again. The hardship of migration should remind us that the real battle is here at home. Together, we can rebuild our economy, restore dignity to our people, and ensure that no Ethiopia is forced to leave their homeland in search of a better life. This is your final call to action. Ethiopia stands at a crossroads. The path of division and migration leads only to despair and loss. But the path of unity, hope, and peace offers a future where we thrive together. Let the sacrifice of our ancestors and the struggles of our people inspire us to rise above the challenges we face. Join the Ethiopian Hearts for Peace initiative. Let us work hand in hand to create an Ethiopian where no one is forced to flee, where every life is valued, and where peace and prosperity are not just dreams but realities. The time to wake up is now. The time to act is today. Together, we can forge a new path for Ethiopia, a path of hope, dignity, and enduring peace. Our call to action is heartfelt and reflects the dire urgency of Ethiopian situation. To make this rhetoric resonate more deeply with Ethiopians from all walks of life, here is a refined and focused version of our argument. Ethiopia at the crossroads. Fellow Ethiopians, our nation stands at the precipice of collapse. Face challenges not just from external enemies but from within. A poisoned educational system, moral decay, economic despair, and governance structure designed to divide us. The reality we face: a nation starved in body and mind. Hunger is killing not just our bodies but our spirits. A starving mind cannot dream, cannot hope, and cannot lead. Our education system, designed to enlighten, has been turned into a weapon of ignorance. How can we build a nation when high school graduates struggle to read and write? Targeting pillars of unity. The Ethiopia's strength has always been its diversity. For over 1,000 years, 86 plus ethnic groups have coexisted, retaining their languages, culture, and identities. Today, Orthodoxes and Amharas are being persecuted. The Orthodox Church and the Amhara people have been the glue holding this unity together. Let's start there. Yet, they are targeted by force seeking to divide us. Ask yourself, if it were your ethnic elites ruling for centuries, would other cultures, languages, and religions still exist? Would you have ruled with fairness and justice? We have thin rulers under TPLF, and we are seeing those who we don't know what they are. They say they are Oromos, they say they are prosperity, they are Protestant, Muslims, whatever. This leadership must go. The false premises of Western ideas, democracy, as imposed by the West, has been a tool for neo-colonial control. It has deepened divisions and weakened our nation. A proud nation that resists colonization must now resist the subtle chains of systematic oppression disguised as progress. International abandonment and neighboring countries and historical enemies are plotting against us. The international community has turned its back on Ethiopia. If we remain divided, we will not withstand the threat. A vision for change. Dismantle the broken governance. The current system built on division and manipulation must be dismantled. Ethiopia needs a new foundation, one that prioritizes unity, human dignity, and fairness for all ethnic groups. Human dignity is first. We must recognize the inherent worth of every Ethiopian, regardless of their ethnicity or the language they speak. Without dignity, there can be no peace. And without peace, there can be no nation. So, reclaim our sovereignty is critical. Land is being sold for mining, leaving Ethiopians as beggars in their own country. Addis Ababa, a city of flashing lights, is rotting beneath its surface. It is time to reclaim our resources, our sovereignty, and our future. So, we need to organize and rise. Waiting for divine intervention or external help is no longer an option, brothers and sisters. I don't mean to negate your belief. I myself is a Christian. I have that divine belief. We must rise, organize, and take control of our destiny. The Ethiopian Hearts for Peace initiative envisions a new era for Ethiopia, one where human rights, fairness, and unity prevail. Thank you very much.